Hi guys, welcome back to Planetary Astrology, where you will learn everything you need to know about the stars. Today's video is going to be on Sun in the first house. Now, this is probably the 15th video in the sun signs portion of this astrology series. So we're just going to dive right into it and talk about the good and the difficult aspects to having your sun sitting in the first house. Okay, so Sun in the first house. What does this mean? You are an independent thinker. You are a nonconformist and you like to do things your own way. You are an active person generally and may enjoy physical activity or sports of some kind. You may also be somebody that revels in a competition or revels in competition. You're a trendsetter and a natural leader, someone who is generally very self-aware and direct, who has a charisma to them, and ultimately is a big fighter. You are willing to fight for your goals, to fight for yourself, and what it is that you want to accomplish in this life. Now, having your sun in the first house, you are somebody that likes to do your own thing. You're generally very comfortable in your own skin. And this is because at some point in your life at a young age, you generally felt like somebody or maybe your parents, whoever had control over you, maybe tried to force you to become something that you didn't want to be. And so as an adult or as you get older, you really learn, depending on the afflictions in the chart and what aspects you have to the sun, it could be that your lesson is that you need to stand in yourself. You need to learn how to be an independent thinker. But usually, if there are positive aspects or, just not really too much stuff sitting in the first house, jumbling up this character and ego, the sun being the ego and personality, you are generally somebody who is very confident and direct. It's possible that you were raised in an environment where there was a lot of chaos and fighting. What you have to learn then is to not chase conflict. In addition to this too, having your sun in the first house, a negative trait can also be that you can get overwhelmed, or you can overwhelm people with your strong energy. And if there are harsh aspects to the sun, one of the karmic lessons surrounding your sun placement will then be to not be so proud or to not be too arrogant. We'll talk a little bit more about the negatives later, but let's focus on the positives here. So you have a liveliness to you, having your sun in the first house. As I said, you are probably somebody that really enjoys physical activity, workouts, hiking, bike riding, even just going for a walk. But the ability to get your body moving, to stretch your body, it feels really good to you. And people with the sun in the first house, this is it's really great for you to and important for you to take care of your body and to be active in your body. The first house represents the body and the sun represents vitality. Mixing both of those together, it can speak a lot to the health of a person. So usually and generally, depending on the aspects to the sun and aspects to the first house, having and what sign you have in the first house, which, well, I guess will be your sun sign. But depending on what sign you have and what aspects you have to the first house, it'll be really important for you to take care of your body, but generally you will have a strong body and good health with the sun in the first house here. You're likely to be somebody who is a natural leader. You are a trendsetter. You probably have your own style that you stick to, and it can be known for your style. And honestly, you may be somebody that you could be someone that wears the same thing every day. It doesn't matter. But just that you, the things that you wear and you put on your body, your wardrobe, are generally something that, is very unique to you, if that makes sense. Now, in addition to this, you are a very driven and ambitious person. You're not afraid to take risks because you exude this self-assurance. Like you know exactly who you are. Even if you are feeling insecure, this is how you come off to other people. Somebody who's very sure of yourself, who loves yourself, and who has a strong personality, right? And you're also somebody that is willing to take necessary risks and sometimes unnecessary ones. People are generally drawn to your energy because you are full of life, you're spontaneous and ready to face anything. You have an ability to uplift others because honestly, people in this placement, depending on the aspects to the sun, generally are the type that don't really want to shine alone. You can be an independent thinker and somebody that has your own goals, but you aren't necessarily selfish with it. You know what I mean? You don't want anybody to get in your way of your goals, but you are somebody that kind of feels motivated by seeing other people accomplish things because you do have this competitive nature to you. But when there are beneficial aspects to the sun or harmonious aspects to the sun, this competition can also lead to you feeling inspired. So competition is not necessarily a negative thing, and people with sun in the first house know this. So having your sun or the planet of vitality and ego sitting in the first house, in the house of the self, this makes you somebody who is very self-aware. And depending on the aspects to the sun, if you have some harsh aspects, this could be a very hard thing for you. Somebody who's very self-aware, but perhaps a bit too critical of the self, depending on if you have like sun in the first house, or but sun in Virgo, you can be hypercritical of yourself. But generally, if you have your sun in other signs, this can be very beneficial. Now, this is not to say having a Virgo sun in the first house is a bad thing. It's just to say that depending on the sun combination with this house, it can have a different effect. And also depending on the aspects or afflictions in the chart. Now, you are somebody that really knows who you are because you've been forced to discover yourself. The karmic lesson surrounding your sun sign is to truly get to know who you are. And sometimes this can be discovered in a harsh way after somebody trying to force a different identity onto you for so long that you have to learn how to stand in yourself. But for most people with the sun in the first house here, they naturally know who they are. They naturally are genuine people, and smiling in somebody's face while feeling something different is just difficult for them to do. They can't even do it. These are people that generally have like a strong body, a strong face. They come on very strong to other people, like somebody who is willing to fight if they have to and to stand up for themselves, similar to Aries risings. Okay, now you are somebody that generally has a lot of followers. People may cling to you sometimes because you seem so sure of yourself. Now, whether or not this is a facade will depend on, the specific individual, but people with sun in the first house generally have people that look to them to see what to do most of the time. Okay. And depending on what sign you have in the seventh house, this can show if this brings enemies to you based off of this confidence that you exude and things like that. But sun in the first house people are the type of person to really feel comfortable fully expressing their thoughts. How they express their feelings will be probably more indicated by the moon sign and any aspects between the moon and Mercury. But generally, they come off as somebody that, at least to other people, expresses their thoughts and their feelings very well. Now, this, like I said, depends on the moon placement because it's possible that you come off a certain way to people, but you don't actually feel that way. Now, this can be described and understood more by perhaps looking at the persona chart of your moon, the persona chart of your ascendant. That would be very helpful to do, having your sun in the first house, to look at the persona chart of your ascendant. And I will be posting a video on how to figure out and how to calculate a persona chart, what a persona chart is, and the benefits of looking at them soon after we finish probably the sun, moon, and rising signs. So stand out for that if you are interested. But yeah, without a doubt, these are people that when they walk into a room, they get attention. When they walk into a room, they know how to command it, and they have an identity and self-image that is very strong. Okay. Now, some things that this sun sign placement has to watch out for is being too proud or being too hard-headed. As I said, you are somebody that comes off as someone who is not afraid to take risks, even if they are unnecessary. So it can be that sometimes you do things the hard way because you're so used to it. Like I said, people with sun in the first house, they generally grow up in an environment that may have had a lot of chaos or things like that in it. And so what happens here is that this person or the individual, if they haven't learned the karmic lessons surrounding their sun sign, can become arrogant, they can become hard-headed, and even sometimes very aggressive with other people. And depending on the aspects between the sun and the Mars sign, this aggression can be physical too. So this is a placement that you do need to watch out for in that way as well. In addition to this, having your sun in the first house makes you somebody that can be a bit controlling at times, because like I said, you have a lot of ambitions and you want to be very independent, and you are not okay with anybody coming in and trying to hinder your success, right? So at times you guys can come off as selfish in that way too, because sometimes there are just things that happen in life that stop you from getting where you want to be, right at that moment. So sun in the first house sometimes can be very impatient too, this being a fire house, ruled by Aries and ruled by Mars. So that is something to be careful of and to be cognizant of, is how you feel about yourself and how you portray yourself are not necessarily the same thing. Generally, you portray yourself to be somebody very sure of yourself, very confident, and able to take lead. But you do need to be careful and make sure that your ability to take lead does not mean that you are squandering the potential or the liveliness of another person. But generally, having your sun in the first house, you are somebody that is okay with seeing other people shine, so long as they don't knock your hustle at the same time. So if you guys like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And I want to thank you so much for watching. And don't forget to go in the description box below to access my tarot channel and any websites for any personal natal chart or tarot readings that you may want. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.